What's up? Play that music, play that track.
What's up? What's poppin'?
Shit.
I think it's a pretty good one.
Well, that's pretty dope. We'll
What's
kick
going
it
down?
for another day, another dollar. How about you?
You know, touched the market egregiously this morning, like always.
Okay.
Got a little handsy with it, but
Nothing
um,
wrong with some touching,
yep.
some light
No,
betting.
definitely all above the shoulder. Keep it at 1980s. Little sock hop dance on him.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
How's everything with you?
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Yeah,
Always.
we'll hang out for a few minutes, see if we get anybody to join us.
Uh, this meeting has been adjourned. As to what topics?
As to what topics,
Right.
we're gonna touch on a little Elon Musk, a little bit of AI, a little bit of earnings, maybe a little Tucker. You know,
Okay. So get off that. Uh, I apparently can't spell. Breaking 70% of trading in Mullen is now happening in dark pools. Very interesting. It's interesting to read the articles at nighttime. Ooh. What the hell did I do? I'm so confused right now. Wondering why. What's up, Rodney? How's everything? I'm trying. Rodney's throwing the cheers up right now. Can't hear you. I think you're muted.
No, that's why you can't hear me.
Oh.
There you go.
Let's go. If you want it, you can get it. 5 in GTA.
What's up, GTA? So, all right, let's we'll get started here.
You want to get the mitzvah going?
We'll get the mitzvah going.
Like it, I like it.
So let's see. Hot damn. Excuse me.
Hot damn.
All right, so this was from this morning. I was talking about this. We were talking about it in the chat when it was going on. This is the first thing with Elon. This is wow. Excuse me. This is, well, just watch and you'll see what it is.
A group of 17 Tesla investors sent an open letter to the board of the company, accusing it of mismanagement and calling for a meeting to discuss Elon Musk's performance. I want to bring in one of those investors, Brad Landers, New York City comptroller. It's his first interview since he signed that letter, and we're thrilled to talk to him this morning to understand why you decided to sign that letter, Brad.
Good morning, Andrew. It's great to be with you again this morning. So the New York City's 5 pension funds hold over $750 million in Tesla stock. For a long time, we saw it as something that was adding a lot of value, has been adding a lot of value to our portfolio. But we're concerned with the CEO's attention seeming to be focused much more on Twitter and on SpaceX than on Tesla, as it's facing severe challenges in the marketplace, and we need a CEO that's focused on the company.
So how do you think about that position, if you will, versus just saying, I should sell the stock? Meaning, if you don't like what management's doing, don't own the stock. Or are you a long-term holder of this stock, irrespective of who's running it?
Well, pension funds like ours, we own broadly across the economy. And yes, we are long-term holders. We've held the stock for a long period of time. And our way of adding value, we also own at GM and we also own at Ford. We own broadly across the economy. And so what we do as shareholders is try to make sure that the board of directors is providing oversight of management, especially at critical times like this one.
Right. What do you make of the argument that New York is a state of Democrats, it's a blue state? Elon Musk has, I think, uniquely come out quite publicly, at least politically, seemingly on the right, or at least on the right on a lot of issues these days, and that this is somehow retribution.
Look, we don't engage in, he's welcome to engage in politics as much as he wants to engage in politics. What we want at Tesla is a CEO that is focused on running Tesla. Tesla's facing a whole set of challenges as new car makers come into the EV marketplace. You could hear that on the earnings call last week. And just what we're looking for is a CEO whose focus is not on politics, whose focus is not on Twitter, whose focus is not on SpaceX, but whose focus is on delivering good returns for shareholders.
Brad, do you think there's been a shift? I mean, clearly he took on Twitter, which is a third company onto his watch, or maybe a fourth company, given the Boring Company, and you could add Neuralink, and now you're at 5. But it's not as if the investors in Tesla didn't know that Elon Musk was involved in lots of different businesses and enterprises.
Look, the job of the board is to make sure that the CEO is focused on managing the company. If you don't want to go public, if you don't want to have investors elect your board of directors, if you don't want the model where your board is supposed to hold you accountable to focusing on running your company, you don't have to do an IPO in the first place. But our role as investors is to make sure that the board is providing good oversight. And that's not happening either. Look, his brother's on the board, a couple of his buddies are on the board. They've got to have a model of corporate governance that accords with the kind of company that they're running.
Okay, before Brad, as Andrew pointed out, he had all those, he was spread thin already. And maybe Tesla hit some road bumps, but no one's close in terms of having built an EV company like that. So you were fine with, SpaceX, you're fine with, the solar panels, you're fine. You could probably had 10, 12 things, but the minute it becomes Twitter and highly political, now you're going to draw the line. You really can't say, yeah, there's something to that. He's he's on Tucker Carlson. He went on with Tucker Carlson. That right there, you ought to get him off. You ought to get the pension out of there immediately because he went on Fox.
We even own stock in Fox News, so this is not for us a question of.
You're not helping your case, dude.
Focus, and I just don't know who could say it looks like Elon Musk's focus at the moment.
Is a 5 company is okay, 6 is 5 was okay, 6 is not. You can run a company for 5, but you can't.
Well, I think the issue is one.
Look, he could join the board of directors. If he wants to join the board of directors, we're not saying we're not pushing him out of the company. You want a CEO who's focused every day when they're getting up.
There's no question, Brad. I'm not going to disagree. Of course, you want a CEO who's focused. I think the issue that people look at in this context is they say, you know what? When this stock was quote unquote working, and by the way, depending on when you got in, it is still working. If you got in later, it's not working.
Right.
Did you think that everybody was happy when this was like $1 trillion company? But the question, and you might have thought that he was more focused or less focused then. But did you think that was the right valuation then?
Look, we're long-term investors, as you said before. The obligations that I have to pensioners run out 30, 40, 50, 60 years. So it's not a question for me of what today's Tesla stock price is. I want to see them succeed in the EV marketplace, sell a lot of EVs. Other car companies are going to come into this marketplace, and that's good as well. The question is, what sets the company up? For me, the question is, what sets the company up for long-term success? And I believe more independent board oversight and a full-time.
Brad, I'm going to make it complicated. Does New York have any stake in SpaceX?
I would have to look. We probably do. We own broadly.
You probably do.
Oregon.
I would bet money that you do through a number of different funds that you're in. So my question then becomes, how do you think about that on a relative basis? And is the problem, is it that you think he's too focused on SpaceX? Is it take Twitter out of the mix? Do you want him in Neuralink?
Investor, I guess what I'd say for us is, as an investor, I'm confident that our position in Tesla is a lot bigger than our position in SpaceX. There's also a set of other governance and management challenges that SpaceX has been facing, exposures to risk across the marketplace, both from all that price pressure that's coming in, but also from human rights and labor violations. So this is a group of Tesla investors who are saying, look, we want a CEO there that's focused on that company.
So where their investment's bigger is more important. That's where their focus should be.
That's not even where their investment's bigger. It's if you have an investment or are investing other people's capital, you should give a shit about all of it.
Yeah, you should.
Not more so than enough.
But it's the timing of this. I think, like I said, I think both.
It's very, very convenient. Yeah.
And it's strange that they even gave the guy any kind of airtime. But what do you think this means? I mean, this guy's, that's somewhat pretty serious accusations. If he was saying that shit about any other CEO, that's when you're talking about padding the board. He's got his buddies on there, his friend, you know what I mean? And then to say, well, he can try to join the board. We're not going to completely kick him out. Like saying that about Elon Musk.
Right.
Tesla.
That's what kind of rubbed me the wrong way, was when he was saying, when he had said something along the lines of, oh, well, we don't mind if he goes and does X, Y, and Z. Who the fuck are you to go and tell anybody that ran Tesla to where it is now and did it quite well and everything, like the first guy had said, or excuse me, the second guy had said, everything was fine when Tesla was flying and what you decided to put your money into. But just because you put your money in way up here at 600 or something like that, and now obviously I don't know what the price would convert to now, but obviously they got in a little high and now they're concerned at where their money is coming to the downside. I think that's kind of a hyper, or excuse me, an opposite statement from the fact of, oh, we're long-term investors. If you're a long-term investor, you know that stocks are going to go up, stocks are going to go down, but Tesla's not going anywhere.
No, like Rodney said, there's no EV company that's even close to Tesla.
Right. Not in the amount of money. No, not to come up to anywhere close. But if you wanted to go and see a Tesla, I think that you could probably see a Rivian or something look better than a Tesla, but not technology-wise.
But how will they sustain production costs, things like that? Like Tesla has got that down to a science over the years. You know what I mean? Like Ford, GM with their EVs, they're not going to be profitable for years because they don't, Tesla's been in production, been ramping up production year after year after year to get to where they're at.
I just question, like, why are the batteries so expensive to make? Is it raw material shortage?
It's not raw material shortage. It's raw material greed. It's because it damn sure isn't going to the hard workers that are pulling those raw materials out the ground.
Hell no.
So somewhere along the way, somebody's getting rich.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been looking at Tesla recently, and I think that market-wise, we could go and see still quite a bit of downside to Tesla. I have two theories. I think that we've kind of speculated at some point that Elon could, I think the way that you said it was possibly just try to massage the shoulders of the stock of Tesla, trying to go maybe downside to what I have no idea. Shout out to the Rodney Dangerfield, but I could see them going in and either. I kind of went adverse as you, because when I first heard all the things that are coming against Elon and that kind of shit, my first thought was, what if he did go and say, hey, you know what, I got bigger things to deal with right now, and said, hey, I'll take a back seat, not like going and saying, hey, just like the Twitter, the fact that he's not owning or he doesn't own Twitter, his dog does, whatever. I don't know if that's actually true. CEO. But what if he actually went and gave up some legitimate either share or responsibility of Tesla?
I think he's been talking about giving up the CEO of that too, and Twitter.
Yeah, if he does that, what do you think that does for the price of Tesla?
Depends on who he gives it to. If it's a qualified, you know what I mean, like a an engineer
Right.
that's been with the company, somebody like that. If it's like a meme or something, or like so who knows what he could do. I
Well,
mean,
I
like
think
I said, yeah, I don't see Elon as a man that likes to be told what to do and pushed around.
right.
And the way he fights back is by trolling and doing shit like that. So,
It's good marketing.
yeah, yeah.
I think that there's an argument for 150, sub 150, 140 Tesla still to the downside. I even think that in a really wicked way, there's a possibility for 80, but that's just me throwing my tinfoil hat on. But I think there's genuine downside in Tesla's future, because even the guy that's sitting there admitting that, like, hey, we're investing in this product, he's also even going and saying, hey, we're looking at like very testing times in this market right now. We need to like nut up or figure out if we need to reposition here.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem.
Well, and like I said, I think he's got a backstop if he was to allegedly influence the stock in a downward way, whether it be with a social media post or whatever, because he could backstop. He's been against, like we talked about earlier, he's been against the interest rate hikes. Not only against them, he said if the Fed didn't pause or do a rate cut this last round, that it was going to crash the market, crash the economy, this, that, and the other thing. So that it may be having a bigger effect on Tesla than we know just yet. I mean, they've made it through their earnings. I think obviously they'll move somewhat with tech over the next couple days, depending on what direction it goes. And
I think everything's over. I mean, I think all the tech is just booming from AI. It kind of saddled up from that, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see where that goes for the next few days.
Well, and we're gonna get into that, and we're gonna start with Elon. And this was from 4 years ago. Elon talking about AI.
So what happened with you where you decided, or you took on a more fatalistic attitude? Like, what was there any specific thing, or was it just the inevitability of our future?
Elon, after hitting the blunt one time.
I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI. This was futile. I tried for years.
This seems like a scene in a movie where the robots are going to fucking take over.
This was 4 years ago, too.
Nobody listened.
Nobody listened.
No one. Are people more inclined to listen today? It seems like an issue that's brought up more often over the last few years than it was maybe 5-10 years ago. It seemed like science fiction.
Maybe they will. So far, they haven't. I think people don't, like, normally the way that regulations work is very slow. It's very slow indeed. So usually there'll be some new technology. It will cause
shit's scary listening
damage
to this
or death.
talk about this.
There will be an outcry. There will be an investigation.
He doesn't seem human.
Years will pass. There will be some sort of insight committee. There will be rulemaking. Then there will be oversight, eventually regulations. This all takes many years. This is the normal course of things. If you look at, say, automotive regulations, how long did it take for seatbelts to be implemented, to be required? The auto industry fought seatbelts, I think, for more than a decade. Successfully fought any regulations on seatbelts, even though the numbers were extremely obvious. If you had a seatbelt on, you would be far less likely to die or be seriously injured. It was unequivocal. And the industry fought this for years successfully. Eventually, after many, many people died, regulators insisted on seatbelts. this time frame is not relevant to AI. You can't take
Why is he
10 years
talking like he's in a
from
fucking
recording, which is
haiku poem?
dangerous.
Because that's
It's
it.
too late.
He's freaking cyborg, man.
And you feel like this is decades away or years away from being too late?
Like I said,
if you
this
have
is
this
4
fatalistic
years ago.
attitude and you
Yeah.
feel like it's going, we're in a almost like a
And
doomsday
then
countdown.
AI kind of
It's not
chilled for a
necessarily
while. We didn't
doomsday
hear
countdown.
much about
it's
it.
out of control countdown.
Out of control, yeah. People call it the singularity. And that's probably a good way to think about it. It's a singularity. It's hard to predict, like a black hole, what happens past the event horizon.
Right.
It's
So
very different.
once it's implemented, it's very different because it will
Once
be
the
able
genie's
to
out of the bottle, what's
right.
going to happen?
and it will be able to improve itself.
Genie's
The
out of the
event-
bottle.
The
Monkey
event
can't
That's
come
where
back
it gets
in,
spooky,
bro.
right? The idea that it can do thousands of years of innovation, very, very quickly,
Yeah,
and then we'll be just ridiculous.
ridiculous.
We will be like this ridiculous biological shitting, pissing thing trying to stop the gods. No, stop. We like.
Right, so that was Elon 4 years ago. Even then, he was pushing for regulation. He goes on, he talks about how he talked to every governor. Nobody wanted to listen to him. No one wanted to hear it.
Well, nobody probably saw anything like that even to be a possibility or coming. That's the problem.
No, but now, like, we're here, and it still doesn't seem like there's much concern about any of this going horribly wrong. It's just a race to see who could profit off of it first, which is the worst possible way to introduce innovation that's as fragile as AI, I think.
I think that if people think that AI has not been around like this anyway for a substantial amount of time.
Well, yeah, it has. It definitely has.
My problem with it is if let's say that the military or some kind of you would think that if something was that powerful and meant to go, I think that's a fear kind of, not a fear mongering kind of thing, but it's like a fear of things that we don't understand, instead of going and thinking of it as, yes, there obviously needs to be regulation. There needs to be an understanding of what the fuck we're working with now, because we don't understand it. Like, it's just kind of gone and happened. But I don't think that there's going to be a point where it's going to be this huge negative effect kind of thing. I think that there would be no way in hell they would allow ChatGPT or OpenAI or anything like that to become partners with anybody up that high and get integrated into any business.
That's the thing is why was ChatGPT and all this unleashed on everybody at the same time? Why? It wasn't anything new. It wasn't any, like you said, it wasn't any cutting edge technology. Sure, we've got an updated version now, and we've seen.
Well, it was cutting edge to the general public right then, but
but why was it just made available?
Why now?
And why was it made available for free?
Because all the best things are Fortnite.
True.
All the brand new. That's the wave of the
but
new
who has the business model to profit off of this?
Microsoft think
How so? Well, let's watch what Google's doing first. This was Google's CEO on
this week on 60 Minutes. We're going to look into the amazing world of artificial
amazing world. You
We
could
are
play
being
ping pong
shown
with the
astounding
robot.
New technology.
I dunk on that shit.
You're looking at one of them right now. That's not actually a picture of me. That is a computer representation of me in 3 dimensions. It's a new kind of technology that will allow people to feel like they're in the same room together.
Get the fuck out of here.
You and I are completely together, no matter where we are in the
This is what Google's
Andrew
doing.
Narker showed us a prototype of Project Starline, an AI video conferencing experience Google is developing. It's not a picture of you, it's essentially you.
I'm now on the other side of the building, but this magic window makes it feel like we're exactly together again.
The sense that I have sitting here is that I could just reach right out and take that out of your hand. Google allowed us inside its artificial intelligence laboratory.
Hey Scott, welcome to Google.
And we also had a rare interview with Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai. What do you compare AI to in the course of human civilization?
You know, I've always thought of AI as the most profound technology humanity is working on, more profound than fire or electricity or anything that we have done in the past.
Why so?
God damn it.
A sense of what intelligence is, what humanity is. You know, we are developing technology which for sure one day will be far more capable than anything we've ever seen before.
For me, the most amazing thing
Doubling up.
I saw at Google was their Bard chatbot.
This is where it gets good.
With a famous 6-word short story, often attributed to Hemingway. For sale, baby shoes, never worn.
Wow.
The only prompt we gave was finish this story. In 5 seconds. Holy cow.
Holy
The
cow.
shoes were a gift from my wife, but we never had a baby. I had a little bit of an emotional.
Now, let me just pause this for a second. Remember, again, this is because these are, it's still not learning. It's not creating something. It's creating something based on something. But I'll let this guy go on. He gets real dramatic when he finds out the baby's dead or whatever the robot tells him. Here we go.
Reaction when I was working with Bard because I had the sense that I was meeting an intelligence that I had never conceived of and an intelligence that I was sure that I would never understand.
I can totally understand what you're talking about, and I don't want to read too much into it today, where the state-of-the-art technology is. We are humans interacting with something which in some ways is mirroring humanity back in certain ways.
What are the downsides?
I mean, the downsides, at some point, does humanity lose control of the technology it's developing?
Control when it comes to disinformation and generating fake images. We saw the potential with Google's AI that creates pictures out of words. This is text in pictures.
Exactly.
Eli Collins is
That's
a vice
dangerous.
president at Google.
You can generate a picture of pretty much most things you imagine. I'm happy to put in a prompt if you've got something.
Let's try pink.
I don't see many
on
positive
Fifth
effects of that.
Right, pink taxi cabs.
Instantly, we saw a shade unknown on New York cabs. Next, Collins gave us a first look.
I mean, this
at
is
an AI
glorified
system Google
Photoshop.
has not released yet. Experimental text to video, which instantly answered our prompt, golden retriever with wings.
Oh, look at that.
As with Bard, this has safety filters. For
You might
example,
mistaken that
it
Enzo
doesn't
is a
create
real golden
images
retriever
of
with
people.
wings.
Every Google executive we talked to said that there is a pressing need for government to regulate this new frontier of artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has the
Yes,
power
sir.
to change just about all of our lives.
To be clear, this is going to be a cat and mouse game, right? People are going to use AI to be more sophisticated, no different from how we have tackled spam and Gmail. And we are constantly developing better algorithms to detect that they are spam. We would need to do the same.
Doesn't seem like a
deep
valid
fakes,
comparison,
audio
but
and video. But over time, look, there has to be regulation. You're going to need laws against. There have to be consequences for creating deep fake videos which cause harm to society?
I don't usually hear CEOs of major
Excuse
corporations ask
me?
for government regulation.
Anybody who has worked with AI for a while, you realize this is something so different and so deep that we would need societal regulations to think about how to adapt.
The question of our age going forward is going to be whether these machine learning systems replace human capabilities, replace human creativity. We are only just now getting a sense of what they're capable of.
Not going to be any more kids playing soccer. Robots are taking over.
Society
I
needs
mean,
to get together and have a conversation.
at least
What do
you
we
have
need these
some action.
intelligent machines to do for us? What do we prefer to do for ourselves? And where do we place value?
So
That's a dumb fucking.
That's where Google is.
That's a
and
dumb
their
question.
AI.
No, ask the real question. Where do we line up on the food chain at that point? That's what the question everybody wants to know is.
Well, I don't think robots eat people, so
I'm not talking about the actual food chain. I'm talking about where on the evolutionary chain.
Do robots surpass us? Are you saying? Are you asking?
No, I'm talking about like if you're thinking even just something as small as those kids' robots, like if they're robots, where is the air? Where is the human error? Like, if you have everything being perfect and exact, what's the point of having the robots? And who would be watching said little robot game?
Other
Like, what would
robots,
be the
I guess.
point?
Yeah.
Right. So, but there's something wrong with that. Like, that's the evolutionary point of like, okay, nothing really has feelings, and then you're just kind of in another simulation. At some point, if like you're just saying that people go extinct,
True.
or enslaved, like,
go for a quick second.
yes, sir. What are we watching? Ray Epps.
No, we're not going to watch that. That'll definitely not let us stay on YouTube.
No, probably not.
Well, I think it's funny how in 4 years there wasn't really any regulation talk after that Elon. Like you didn't really hear much calls for AI regulation or even talked about.
Well, I think it's alarming how I think it's alarming how uncomfortable he looks about talking about it 4 years ago.
Excuse me. Yeah, and it really weirded me out when I seen him 4 years ago talk about it. I mean,
He looks strung out, kind of like almost like he was really going through some shit. Like he was just seeing some really like new, probably this, like going, oh yeah, that's not good.
So, that being said, Google's earnings tomorrow, Microsoft's earnings tomorrow. Do they hold up? Did they put enough layers of bullshit on what they're doing with AI? So maybe Microsoft gained some market share on Google search. Maybe Google loses a little bit on the search. I told you I think Google's not financial advice. I think Google's days are numbered. I think reckless spending, and like I said, they don't have so much of a physical product like a Microsoft, like Amazon, that even though it's it's other people's products. They have a physical product on top of the AWS. Google, they lose search. They're already getting hit on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but you got to think that like being everybody's default browser ever.
Right, but Google continued to spend on those growth levels and then took that and injected it with steroids during the pandemic because, you know,
Think about Google
the
business.
internet was the shit and they just overspent, reckless spending. I mean, I'm sure they'll be okay. I don't think Google's going to be gone, but reckless spending, it catches up.
I think that like
And that lax environment of people not going to work and having a party because it worked in the early days of the internet to an extent, and Google tried to keep replicating that model, and it worked for the longest time because everything else grew around it. Google didn't really have to grow. You know what I mean? As long as cell phones grew, as long as the amount of people that had access to the internet grew, Google was going to grow. So why not pay a bunch of hippies to ride slides and eat bagels and shit at work? And
yeah,
now they're behind the eight ball, like I said, like they've been with everything else. Google Plus, with friggin' all their glasses, with their phones, with all their shit.
well, yeah, you could also go and argue that Google business, every part of every business goes through Google or some kind of Gmail. I mean, I don't know how you think that Google is. I mean, I think that Google is definitely an ad to not maybe. I think that you could definitely start adding Google back into um, your blue chip portfolios at any time. I mean, anytime
Okay, so
around.
think about this. What if Samsung is the first and Samsung goes to a default Bing browser?
I don't give a.
Then let's say Apple follows suit.
Then 95% of those people probably go and Google, like hit the options button and go and make it Google.
Think so?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it being. I don't see Google being able to be knocked off of the podium. I see that I think that they could definitely go and get some
But what if AI
pushback.
makes Google not needed? Is the thing. If you don't need to go to Google to ask something because you have your
Oh,
own
right.
app that's that's not going to cut everything off, but say someone comes out with just a history of and then even subdivisions of that, a US history chat GPT, that's just your little personal widget that any historical question you ask it and it gives you a factual answer. You know what I mean? And then put that into every subcategory you could imagine. And then take all of that search out of Google. Again,
You
it's
have
not going to crush them, but Google's ad revenue, like we were just talking about before we got on the stream, you see where, and you already knew this, but the amount of money that companies pay to be at the top of those ads. If people stop searching Google for stuff, which they already are, people are searching TikTok, people are searching other stuff, that money dries up. And it's already dried up. I mean, advertising money's already taken a big hit.
I could see that, but I mean, I look at um, the fact that people pay tens of thousands of dollars um, per month for that service to be posted all over Google and other websites. I think there's a substantial amount of money in that, And I think that there's no way in hell that I think there's no way in hell it goes anywhere.
We shall see. So, how do you think they both report after the bell tomorrow? We got a bunch of blockbuster earnings in the morning.
Yeah,
Who
that's
is
a
it?
curious one.
Verizon, McDonald's, Halliburton, Raytheon, General Electric. Who else? Is GM tomorrow? Maybe GM.
I believe GM is tomorrow. Yes.
And then Microsoft and Google, the big ones after the bell.
Yeah, we have.
Because those two
Coca-Cola.
earnings together, they have the potential to do a lot of things. If they come in tandem, good or bad, they could shake the market up quite a bit one way or another. Or they could counterbalance each other. Microsoft could come out and say, hey, Google's AI fucking sucks. We're better. Fuck off.
Yeah, we have Visa, Pepsi, Google. Yeah, Google, Pepsi, Visa.
I don't know how Visa or any of those credit cards earnings could ever not be good. You keep lending out money that people don't have and have to pay back way more than they bought, you're always going to be in the green.
McDonald's is gonna shit apparently.
I would be surprised. I
The
think McDonald's will hold
USP,
up.
UPS is gonna be nuts. One way or the other. Texas Instruments also. Wells Fargo is gonna have their annual meeting. I think it's interesting that Citigroup, Canadian Railway, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America are all having annual meetings.
While we're on AI and earnings, let's talk a little bit about Meta.
Meta, Jesus.
I'm very interested in it because I think it's going to make a move. I think it's going to make at least a 5% move one way or another, and I'm leaning towards bullish because I can't figure out what's better. What money that's gone? You know what I mean? I have to think that okay, it was bad money. But in the literal sense, I've got to think at some point, Enzo, some of that money literally is a tax write-off at this point that was sunk into the metaverse.
I mean, I'm sure you could probably hide a little bit of it, but $200 million is not.
200 billion.
200 billion, excuse me.
But so that's an even bigger thing. So, like I said, if this was a year and a half ago, if this was 2021, I think there would be some concern because, the metaverse was still, that was going to be the shit. It's on and popping. Now, I think investors have completely lost faith. We've seen Facebook rally when they cut funding, when Zuckerberg's like, okay, I'm going to tone it in a little bit. So now you're going to get a catalyst in the sense of they're firing a bunch of people because they're getting rid of everybody that has to do with the metaverse. So job cuts have been good for stock prices. I don't think they're going to chase the dragon on AI. That's what I think is going to be a good thing. I don't think they're going to try to get into this AI battle with Google and Microsoft, and they're probably going to focus on the Reels and try to compete with TikTok somehow. Which that's their audience, that's their bread and butter. Maybe they won't compete with TikTok in one sense, but they're still big. They still continue to grow. People will tell you they don't use Facebook, but a lot of people still do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Facebook is still on and popping. It's just like I don't know enough about it. I do know that I believe 3 or 4 weeks out in the options, the max pin goes down to about 185. I I think there's some room if it does decide to break above about a 219, 220 area. Overall, I think you would have to get over those marks and be moving with some decent volume, not just going up on bullshit volume like everything else in the market has. I think Tesla has the downside to about 174, or excuse me, Meta has 174 in it, if not more. But I'm looking for at least one way or the other. You're going to come see that probably 220, 219, 220 break to the upside, and then trying to look for that to substantiate that price, or obviously the downside coming back through the 200 and probably cratering, because that's bad news if they're taking, if people don't look at at Facebook as something that's even a viable option after dumping $200 billion into it, and they're not doing well earnings wise, they're not doing well with ads and so on and so forth. That's very, very bad. That's $40 off a stock bad.
Yeah, it could if they
Microsoft,
don't have anything to show for that pivot away from the metaverse. If it's just like, well, hey, we're not making ad money, we're fucked, we had to cut, if it's something
right?
like that, yeah.
But
But
if I still see the fact that Microsoft right now is trading at like almost 280.
yeah,
I think
Microsoft
it's
says the Activision deal still kind of hung up. That's
yeah. But besides that, 281 is the close. The 281.77 was the close today. I think that Microsoft has the I mean, I think it's going to continue to be one of those that you just it's never too um never a good enough time to buy, but Microsoft has the ability to come to the downside a little bit, but they're looking and expecting options wise to make a 10%, or excuse me, a $10 move one way or the other. So don't go too far when you think of where you're going to take your plays and stuff like that. Keep it within $10 or so. But I think that like a lot of things are hung up right now to where maybe they're unnecessarily too high. And all of technology and just all of it in general right now might be overvalued a little bit. Crypto's not doing well right now.
crypto's not.
I mean, it's having a little dive, a little shake.
Damn, I didn't realize Microsoft was right on Apple's. Well, not right on their tail, but
Apple's another thing that needs to take a shit and looks like it's going to very soon.
Apple's market cap 2.6 trillion, Microsoft 2.1 trillion. I did
If
not realize
Apple
market cap Microsoft's market cap was that high.
if
Amazon's
Apple
over a
makes a
trillion. I didn't realize that either, sorry.
no, you're good. If Apple makes a car, will it have windows?
I don't think so.
Why?
Because I think Bill Gates put the kibosh on that a long time ago.
Well, what would my question is, why wouldn't it have windows?
Because it's an Apple car. You
I
don't
don't
get it?
understand. No, I don't understand because it doesn't make any sense to me as
It's a old school like computer joke.
But it's a fucking Apple car. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
So
because
okay,
it's
if
a
Apple made a
joke.
car,
Would it have Windows? No. Does any Apple products have Windows installed on it?
oh Jesus Christ. You're talking about actually a fucking Windows. Jesus Christ. Okay.
So
That
close
went
it
wait
on
no,
down,
that
bro.
went no, that went right over my head. Like Jesus Christ.
What's up, The Bachelor?
You know, he's just coming in with the Egyptian eyewear right now. He's looking smooth.
All right, so since it's the last time we'll see him on there, since he's not on there anymore, let's watch what Elon said about AI over there on Tucker.
Oh goody. Like and subscribe on Rumble.
No, I think you're allowed to play Tucker right now. I think it gets like a pass when something's in the news. Tucker's all the rage right now with the kids.
Oh, with the kid. I don't know. I don't know that Tucker Carlson is all the rage with the kids, my man, but hey, I'm always here for it.
Let's see what he's got to say.
Playing with it on their phones. Is that good or bad?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about AI for a long time since I was in college.
Elon Musk on AI and the end
It's
of
one the
civilization.
The sort of 4 or 5 things I thought would really affect the future dramatically. It is fundamentally profound in that the smartest creatures, as far as we know, on this earth are humans, is our defining characteristic.
Yes.
We're obviously weaker than, say, chimpanzees and less agile, but we are smarter. So now what happens when something vastly smarter than the smartest person comes along in silicon form? It's very difficult to predict what will happen in that circumstance. It's called the singularity. It's a singularity like a black hole, because you don't know what happens after that. It's hard to predict. So I think we should be cautious with AI, and I think there should be some government oversight
Congress on the planet or
because
insects.
it affects it's a danger to the public. And so when you have things that are a danger to the public, like let's say, so food and drugs. That's why we have the Food and Drug Administration and the
is that why?
Federal Aviation Administration.
Wherever they add on
the
cigarettes,
FCC.
dipshit.
We have these agencies to oversee things that affect the public, where there could be public harm. And you don't want companies cutting corners on safety.
Waste space, no shit.
True.
And then having people suffer as a result. So that's why I've actually for a long time been a strong advocate of AI regulation. So that I think regulation is, it's not fun to be regulated. It's sort of.
Who do we let regulate? At some point, the regulators are regulating who gets to play God
regulated industries, because obviously
in the world of AI.
Highly regulated. You could fill this room with all the regulations that are required for a production car just in the United States, and then there's a whole different set of regulations in Europe and China and the rest of the world. So very familiar with being overseen by a lot of regulators. And the same thing is true with rockets. You can't just willy-nilly, shoot rockets off, not big ones anyway, because the FAA oversees that. And then even to get a launch license, there are probably half a dozen or more federal agencies that need to approve it, plus state agencies. So I've been through so many regulatory situations. It's insane. And sometimes people think I'm some sort of like regulatory maverick that sort of defies regulators on a regular basis, but this is actually not the case. Once in a blue moon, rarely I will disagree with regulators, but the vast majority of the time, my companies agree with the regulations and comply.
How to kill all mosquitoes in the area.
How to kill all mosquitoes
in 90 seconds. This simple but brilliant trick you can do tonight.
Anyway, so I think we should take this seriously, and we should have a regulatory agency. I think it needs to start with a group that initially seeks insight into AI, then solicits opinion from industry, and then
now, isn't that what he
proposed
warned of
rulemaking,
happening
and then
4
those
years
rules,
ago? That then insight committees would be
will probably
formed and this
hopefully
and that.
gradually
So
be
now he's
accepted
calling
by,
for
the
the slow
major
process that he
players
said
in
would be
AI. And
what friggin'
I think we'll have a
hurt
better
us in the
chance
long run.
of
Right.
advanced AI being beneficial to humanity in that circumstance.
But all regulations start with a perceived danger, and planes fall out of the sky, or food causes botulism.
Yes.
I don't think the average person playing with AI on his iPhone perceives any danger. Can you just roughly explain what you think the dangers might be?
Yeah, so the danger, really, AI is perhaps more dangerous than, say, mismanaged aircraft design or production maintenance or bad car production, in the sense that it has the potential, however small one may regard that probability, but it is non-trivial. It has the potential of civilizational destruction. There's movies like Terminator, but it wouldn't quite happen like Terminator, because the intelligence would be in the data centers.
Right.
The robot's just the end effector. But I think perhaps what you may be alluding to here is that regulations are really only put into effect after something terrible has happened.
That's correct.
If that's the case for AI, and we're only putting regulations after something terrible has happened, it may be too late to actually put the regulations in place. The AI may be in control at that point.
You think that's real? It is conceivable that AI could take control and reach a point where you couldn't turn it off, and it would be making the decisions for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, that's definitely where things are headed, for sure. I mean, the things like say ChatGPT, which is based on GPT-4 from OpenAI, which is a company that I played
that's a good point, The Bachelor, because India's been data mining for years and years and years too.
I mean, the reason OpenAI exists at all is that Larry Page and I used to be close friends, and I would stay at his house in Palo Alto, and I would talk to him late into the night about AI safety. And at least my perception was that Larry was not taking AI safety seriously enough.
What did he say about it?
He really seemed to be want sort of digital superintelligence, basically digital God, if you will, as soon as possible.
He wanted that?
Yes. He's made many public statements over the years that the whole goal of Google is what's called AGI, artificial general intelligence, or artificial superintelligence. No, and I agree with him that there's great potential for good, but there's also potential for bad. And so if you've got some radical new technology, you want to try to take the set of actions that maximize the probability it will do good and minimize the probability it will do bad things.
Yes.
It can't just be hell for leather. Let's just go, barreling forward and, hope for the best. And then at one point, I said, well, what about, we're going to make sure humanity's okay here. And then he called me a speciesist.
Did he use that term?
Yes. And there were witnesses. I wasn't the only one there when he called me a speciesist. And so I was like, okay, that's it. Yes, I'm a speciesist. Okay, you got me. What are you? Yeah, I'm fully a speciesist. Busted. So that was the last straw. At the time,
what a weird
Google,
fucking exchange that was.
So Google and DeepMind together had about 3/4 of all the AI talent in the world. They obviously had a tremendous amount of money and more computers than anyone else. So I'm like, okay, we have a unipolar world here where there's just one company that has close to a monopoly on AI talent and computers, like scaled computing. And the person who's in charge doesn't seem to care about safety. This is not good. So then I thought, what's the furthest thing from Google would be like a nonprofit that is fully open, because Google was closed for profit. So that's why the open in OpenAI refers to open source, transparency, so people know what's going on.
Yes.
and that we don't want to have like I mean, while I'm normally in favor of for-profit, we don't want this to be sort of a profit-maximizing demon from hell.
That's right.
That just never stops.
Right.
So that's how OpenAI would.
So you want specious incentives here, incentives that.
Yes,
like,
I think we want pro-human.
Yeah.
Let's make the future good for the humans.
Yes.
Yes, because we're humans.
So can you just put it? I keep pressing, but just for people who haven't thought this through.
Let me hear that again.
Because we're humans.
Yeah. Was he lying?
Let's make the future good for the humans.
Yes.
Yes, because we're humans.
So can you just put it? I keep pressing, but just for people who haven't thought this through and aren't familiar with
Go
it.
back. He says
and
the
cool
humans.
Parts of.
It says the humans.
Yes,
like,
I think we want pro-human.
Yeah.
Let's make the future good for the humans.
Yes.
Yes, because we're humans.
So can you just put it? I keep pressing, but just for people who haven't thought this through and aren't familiar with it, and the cool parts of artificial intelligence are so obvious. You know, write your college paper for you, write a limerick about yourself. Like there's a lot
cat's out of the fucking bag.
And useful. But can you be more precise about what's potentially dangerous and scary? Like what could it do? What specifically are you worried about?
Going with old sayings, the pen is mightier than the sword. If you have a super intelligent AI that is capable of writing incredibly well and in a way that is very influential, convincing, and is constantly figuring out what is more convincing to people over time, and then enters social media, for example, Twitter, but also Facebook and others, and potentially manipulates public opinion in a way that is very bad. How would we even know?
How do we even know? So to sum up, in the words of Elon Musk, for all human history, human beings have been the smartest beings on the planet.
So he's basically saying it's already happened.
Something that is far smarter than they are.
Right.
And the consequences of that are impossible to predict. And the people who created it
Nothing the government touches
is ever
good.
As he put it, Google founder Larry Page, a former friend of his, is looking to build a, quote, digital god, and believes that anybody who's worried about that is a speciest. In other words, is looking out for human beings first. Elon Musk responded, as a human being, it's okay to look out for human beings first. And then at the end, he said the real problem with AI is not simply that it will jump the boundaries and become autonomous and you can't turn it off. In the short term, the problem with AI is that it might control your brain through words. And this is the application that we need to worry about now.
I don't think it's words that we need to worry about. I think it's deep fake videos, stuff like that. I think we need more than words. I don't think that's enough. But I think
there's a lot of things.
The Bachelor brings up a great point too, kind of about other countries willing to sacrifice for innovation, whereas we're willing to sacrifice only for dollar bills.
It's a good point. I don't know. I think that it's a cool gimmick, and cool. We can go, and I think that there's a huge benefit for the fact that we can go and write code. I think that there's a huge benefit in a lot of ways, and it's probably going to take a shitload of jobs. However, I think everybody just consistently wants to throw it back to, hey, we're going to have to deal with this problem, or, oh, there needs to be regular. I don't see it getting fully out of hand. I think that it's just going to become one of those things that we're going to continue over and over and over complaining about until we just kind of have it integrated daily into our lives where we don't even realize it. Like the whole Alexa thing was the first argument. People didn't want Alexas in their life. Now everybody's got one in their homes. That was the first kind of AI artificial, hey, you can ask this thing a question and it'll give you an answer. Well, now this open AI is basically the same thing. I find it very alarming how he kind of punctuated the fact that, hey, this was supposed to be open source coding, and now somebody's taking possibly something for the profit.
Well, and it was a
That's
direct shot at Google too. You know what I mean? He said he was
oh, you gotta love
going to
that.
do the exact opposite of Google, and
Well, I mean, because there's validity there though. Like Google hasn't done everything perfect, like you were saying earlier. So I mean, it's not it's not unheard of for people that are doing something for profit and taking huge amounts of money for it. Shouldn't be well and above everybody else, or at least being. I mean, Google should be where OpenAI is, if not more so with their the amount of data they have. What's going on, Trades? How's everything, baby?
what's up, Trades? So from a bigger point of view, looking at Elon Musk, a lot of people trust Elon Musk, think he's whatever or whatever you think of him. Just from what I showed you tonight, though, from his concerns 4 years ago, not being addressed in those 4 years and seeming like nothing happened at all, and now him calling for, him kind of calling for what he said would be the bad thing. Do you think that he's not as afraid of AI now? Or what do you think's kind of changed him? Because he looked way more panicked 4 years ago about it, right?
Well, I think he looked panic in general. He probably well, honestly, was the misinformation at Tesla and shit coming out in the 4 years ago.
No, that was the episode. Yeah, he was there was shit going on. I mean, he got fined and shit for smoking weed on that episode. That's the same episode.
No, I'm talking about, like, did he get in trouble for, or like, was he seeing anything in the
It was around
political
the
race?
time when he said he was going to take Tesla private for 2069, and then he had funding.
Oh yeah, so he was definitely losing his shit. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't look at.
I mean, that was one of the first, I think, Elon, not to like put Joe Rogan up there, but I think it was the first time that people seen Elon in that kind of setting and like a conversation like that, and then him hitting the blunt and shit just put it over the top. Like, I think Elon gained a lot of notoriety coming off of that. Not that he already wasn't, but what's up, Bullfroggin? We're just talking AI and Terminator and, Elon, if he is or isn't human, allegedly. If you had to pick between the two of them, gun to your head, which one's an alien, which one's a robot? Elon and Zuckerberg, go.
They're both AI.
Both AI?
Mm-hmm. It's the one AI that flew out of the cuckoo's nest.
Have they always been AI, or were they at some point replaced as AI?
Well, Zuckerberg's a coincidental, like, oh, here we just found this college kid who just happened to write Facebook in 2 days. Here you go. Like, he seems a little bit. Zuck seemed. Dude, Marky Z seems like he's almost the first attempt at a bad, botched AI that just, like, keeps getting fixed.
They didn't take into consideration the age of the pigmentation, I don't think. That's like the equivalent of AI fading. You know what I mean? Like, you buy a Raiders hat. I've always been a Raider fan. You wear them out in the summertime, they fade. They're black. They fade in the sun. His texture's like faded over the years. He's got more robot-y.
Well, the problem that I have is the fact that, like, if that is AI, why does AI, like, want to make something like that in our likeness? What the hell did we do to them? to have
Well,
them look it up.
scholars actually say that Max Hedron was the Zuckerberg beta.
Who the fuck is that?
Max Hedron. He was a kind of an AI related television show from the early 90s, I believe, maybe late 80s. But if you look, you can see the early makings of Zuckerberg inside Max Hedron. And back in those days, you got to remember, Enzo, the way that anything that was on TV worked was like they polled like 200 people that were in the audience and watched whatever the hell they were trying to sell you, and whatever their opinion was the opinion of everybody, and that's how they changed stuff. So people gave their opinions on Max Hedron and probably a secret ballot up at ABC. It was on ABC, probably on the lot somewhere. They didn't even know. CIA grabbed it up, and Zuckerberg was built.
Hell yeah. I like that. I mean, I don't think when we were going back to the like whole market, I think that there's somebody that is way too high right now, and more than likely needs to come back a little bit. I think everything's coming back a little bit.
Could AI be the great equalizer? Let's look at we always talk about the gloom and doom of AI. Could AI bring these smaller companies to compete with all of these mega cap stocks? Can their access to AI make them run more efficiently? I don't think that it can, because I think most of this AI is bullshit. But
I think that that's exactly what it did. I think that AI is creating an imbalance. I guess let me say this carefully. I think that AI is creating an imbalance of the initial balance that the government has over a lot of different things, whether it is disinformation, whether it's the way that things are spread, the way that things are advertised, the way that information is shared in general. I think that if people realize and start to get better with this open AI, I think it's a matter of time before they start using it to bring a lot more information to light. I would definitely look for that.
But I think the Bachelor's
Somebody's
on point
ripping
with
it.
it. Yeah. Because I think that's exactly what they're afraid of, and that's why you see all of these people. And it's just like Bitcoin. Remember the flip in Bitcoin? Remember we went from we don't need no regulation. That was pretty much, people didn't want it. It was like the Pink Floyd shit. We don't need no regulation. And now, what do you got? You got even Bitcoin, whatever, calling, hey, we need regulation. Government control us. We need it.
Well, yeah, it's probably
and
because of the fact
what's going to happen here?
Well, they know that
they're going to scare us so that bullshit, Patriot Act 2.0 bullshit, the internet shit is going to pass, because they're going to, and there's already stories out there. I should have played a couple of them. I get them for next time we do this at night. Of, there's the one where like this lady's crying. She's getting interviewed by the local whatever, because somebody acted like they kidnapped her daughter and called them with an AI generated voice of her daughter. And
I saw it.
Shit like that. And I'm not saying that this shit's not happening. The story didn't make a whole lot of sense if you really listen to it. Friggin' Nancy Drew could have solved the case. But they're going to ramp up that fear, and maybe there'll be some kind of event. I wouldn't put it past anything. Maybe there's an event. Maybe something goes off because AI was left in control of something. All of a sudden, a missile gets fired, something.
I thought that too.
And that'll push that. That's Patriot Act 2.0. And then we won't have any internet freedoms or AI freedom.
Well, I think that the fact that we continue to play fast and loose with the rules of what's good and what's not good when we have absolute regulation under 17 different like treaties or documents or declarations or whatever the hell. I mean, it's all pretty much black and white. If you go back and just simply fucking do the research, like there's some things that are just being walked on, and the fact that like if you haven't gone and done any research about what our president actually says in some of these, I mean, man, Jesus Christ, some of these things that this man has said are suspect at best. At the worst, are straight.
But that's why it's not even worth putting any stock into what he's saying, because even when he botches it, whatever, it's
no, but
it's
it
still just
says a lot
talking
about our
points that
country.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's not the words coming out of his mouth. It's whatever somebody, whatever they're putting in front of him.
I saw a podcast with a guy from, I believe it was Ghana, and he basically started this long 30-minute rant about essentially how they look at America right now when you're looking at it as a government. They now this is people from Ghana, not the most financially sound people in the world, but like still doing their best. But they are talking shit about the US government because they look at it as you have people leaving your country money wise, and we have wars and shit going on everywhere and people fucking killing each other, and then you're talking about, do transgender people have rights? I think there's bigger shit to worry about in the overall broad spectrum of things.
Well, yeah,
Especially
and
now
that's
when you
just
have,
the flavor of the week right now. You know what I mean? There's always, we're a country of distractions.
I mean, it was animal rights, then it was
war on drugs,
right?
Climate change has they've been doing that since the 70s.
Women's rights, the like, I mean, there's always something to push and pull against everything. There's no peaceful time of solidarity in the market, or not in the market, but in life in general. I feel there was never one point in time until at least after a tragedy. I will give you the country of the United States after 9/11 was unbreakable. If you think of like spirit wise, like it was a very tragic thing, but a lot of people stood their ground as, like, I guess in America, in the American way, but it took something so tragic to happen that, like, for us to get there I don't know that we could ever get there again.
Well, I hope we don't get there through something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, no, but if shit keeps going the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, in today's day and age, I don't think anything like that would even unite this country. I don't think I don't know if there's anything that could. Maybe an alien invasion or something. I mean, every single issue is politicized to a T nowadays. There's nothing that's not turned into a left versus right or whatever.
I like the drone thought that they're gonna have holographic drones.
They probably already do.
No, I'm saying that they're gonna use them to like have this invasion like thing to go and scare the general public.
Well, okay, so getting back to AI for 1 second, because I'm about to roll a Canyon Arrow here. So when it comes to like basic things, right? how far do we push it? Because you look at when I was a kid, it was you're not always going to have a calculator. You couldn't use a calculator on tests because you weren't always going to have a calculator with you.
Right.
At what point does it say, well, kids don't need to learn any of this? Like, all the answers are right there. How do you create an education system around an AI?
Hopefully you go to more essential things.
Because it has to be the whole education system at this point, in my opinion, has to be revamped with the introduction of just ChatGPT. I think it's that big of a thing for education that you have to revamp the whole. You'll never be able to keep kids' interest. Why would you? And results aren't going to be anything if you can just, it's like that's, I think, a big part of the downside that no one's really talking about is what this does to education.
I mean, I don't know what. I think that we're gonna all need at least the essentials. I think that we're gonna at least need to know, like, I think that it might steer people to go more towards a finance or.
But will they do anything about it? Will they try to change it, or will they just try to cram an old system with more social issues and just go away from education altogether when it comes to factual education and just come to, not even going to get into examples, but all the bullshit that they try to teach nowadays that have nothing to do with school learning or anything else or anything that belongs in the classroom? Does it just open it up for more indoctrination when you don't have to worry about teaching because kids? So think of it this way: when you just take it out, where like now we can just assume that in 6th grade every kid will know whatever the curriculum is. Whatever, say the curriculum for history is that you got to know all the presidents. Whatever it is, you can just assume that the kid will know it now because the kid will have access to something that'll tell him it. So now you use that time in the classroom to groom them and push bullshit ideology on them.
I can see that.
Of course, everybody would get AI to write papers, and that's what I mean. Like when does it become okay? Eventually, calculators became acceptable. You know what I mean? Like, at what point does it become, well, kids that got the best the best AI writing bots get the best grades? Like, it sounds so crazy. It sounds ludicrous, but at the same time, it's like, well, that's kind of where we're at. Here, one quick Tucker clip for you, just to give him a send off, because I thought this was funny when he called out George Bush.
We're president of the United States. Who cares? I mean, though, as long as we are indicting retired presidents, where are the charges against George W. Bush for invading Iraq under false pretenses and giving permanent normalized trade relations to China, which completely wrecked our economy? Where are those charges? Don't hold your breath. In Washington, wrecking your own country is not considered a crime. And of course, George W. Bush knows that well, which is why he doesn't seem worried at all. Criticizing the ruling class, that's what they indict you for. But either way, Donald Trump's former job as president of the United States is not really the point here. Yes,
so long to Fox News for you, Tucker.
It's a very interesting game that he's going to be playing for the next couple of days.
It's going to be interesting to see where this goes.
DWAC got some movement off of the Tucker News.
Why, is there any talks that he'll?
No, just DWAC doing its social kind of thing.
Yeah, I could see that.
Running off of some stupid news that has nothing to do with it, but it'll get associated with it. People will pump it, and then you just short it off the top, off of a high.
Yeah, and then you know those pesky facts getting in the way. Don't want to do that. So, what do you think in the morning? You think the market comes out hot off of these morning earnings?
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll either send the market down several percent, or we'll come out just hauling ass. And I would like to see us gap down and then haul ass into pre-market. I would like to see at least a gap down, and then yeah, haul ass into, I guess, the lows of yesterday or the close of yesterday, and then move. What are you grinding in my ear, bro? That is awful.
Bro.
The that sounds like sandpaper on. I hate that sound for some reason. I think the market just burns out at some point. I think that you're asking it for a lot if you're wanting Microsoft and Meta and Google and all Halliburton, all these things. I think Halliburton has the ability to do well, but just because of the government contracts. But I think that
Halliburton and Raytheon should be fine tomorrow, even if they're not.
They ran last earnings.
Yeah, there's still plenty of money to go around.
Bro, are you kidding me?
And then you got to expect Verizon. I don't have a clue on how Verizon's earnings are going to come. I would imagine not going to be terrible. Visa, you got to think, is going to be good. General Electric, I'm not sure what goes on with them since they split. I didn't follow that good enough to know what companies are which now. I was twisting, Nanya. Thank you. This thing looks like Casper's middle finger.
Casper doesn't have a middle finger.
Interesting.
I think chat or AI or OpenAI is probably going to do a lot of beneficial things to possibly advance people being smart. I think that people are going to continue to get the 1 + 1 = 2 and shit like that. I think it's
I don't know, man. I think society's been dumbed down with I think it'll give people that are gonna achieve stuff anyways a chance to achieve more. But it could have it.
Did Biden fall down the stairs of Air Force One?
He fell up them that one time, I think.
No. Like, I'm talking about 15+ stairs, halfway up all the way down.
I don't think he fell all the way down. No, that many.
Very odd. Hopefully, figured
it's
out.
Funny how AI has such a broad term too, and that they use just that broad term. Like, like, what exactly is it when you talk about AI? Okay, artificial intelligence. Okay, well, to what degree? Those stupid robot arms that were fucking playing ping pong? Is that AI? Is Chat GPT AI? Is what goes on at the Chevy plant where a dude stands outside while a thing that looks like a transformer assembles a car inside a little plastic fucking cubicle? Is that AI? Because that's been around for 20 plus years, probably longer than that. Like when they talk about the fears of AI, even they don't really classify what AI really is. And I know the actual definition. Well, and that's the thing. It's got to be programmed. So it's such a slippery slope, even with regulation. Like you know, who then regulates the regulators?
Well, I mean, the regulating body would have to be some type of generality. It couldn't just be like it's got to definitely be non-biased, and I would assume a committee of actual people that know what the fuck they're talking about.
But like, okay, Chat GPT stuff like that has years and years and years of data that's been built into it, poured through it at this point. How do you go back and regulate that?
I mean, you don't. I don't think you do.
Yeah, machine learning definitely is the scary thing. But I would also argue, though, with that, The Bachelor, that the difference between a child and AI would be AI is programmed with certain traits, but doesn't have inherent traits and like instincts. But other than that, I could see the similarities. So where does that stop though? Like if it could do Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. School is programming. I mean, let's be honest. It's late. But you get what I'm saying, like okay, the difference then what about like individuality? Will AI have individuality like a child would? Granted, you can program that out. Well, yeah, self-awareness is like that's the scary part, right? Oh, no doubt. Yeah, that's the scary part when it can. But like, okay, so let's take it real quick to Bachelor. Let's take it back to the simplest form. Let's take it back to the simplest form and let's just say, can't you just unplug it? What would your answer to that be? And I'm not, this isn't like a gotcha question. Like, no, that's like, obviously, once it's out there, just unplugging it isn't an answer. But that's I still think a lot of people's rebuttal to like anything. Plus, then you have stuff like the Terminator and stuff like that, sensationalizing it so much and making it seem so far fetched. Yeah, well, it's funny how Elon's tune has changed on the safety of it, and now how it is. Well, and then to that point, so okay, so then let's put it into let's stick with just the internet world for a second and say, at what point does all of social media, everything just become unrecognizable between who's real and who's not, in the sense of AI just generating people that don't exist and taking on that persona in an online world? And then when does that spill over into the real world? Like, what do you think the most harmful thing that could come of it is? People talking to bots on Tinder? Or, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think will be the first immediate effect? And I'm sure we're already seeing all this happening, so full deep fakes, yeah. Yeah, that scares the shit out of me. It's I mean, I've seen some that aren't passable yet, but that's just what people are making out there with access to, retail level AI software. Well, okay, so that I was gonna get to that down the line. I was gonna ask you, but let's get right to that then. What? Okay, so that would be like, outside of indirect effects of AI on the stock market. We seen, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago? They had that AI, whatever it is. I don't know exactly what it was called. Chat, whatever, that can analyze all the Fed speak and kind of predict some kind of stuff. And I know there's been AI influenced screeners, things like that, but how will AI play in the market? How's that going to will it get to the point where before I buy a stock, I consult with my AI, and to take that a step further, before you're not feeling too good today, Mr. The Bachelor, you got a headache, you got a few symptoms, do you pull out your phone and talk to your AI, talk to your little bot in your pocket and tell them what's wrong with you and go get some pills dispensed to you or something? I mean, we've seen that in simple, anybody that's used any kind of customer service, anything like that, you see that with, the first thing that they put you to is a robot to see if they could answer the simple questions for you, basically a chat version of a frequently asked questions. I mean, that's horrifying in a sense, because we seen what the pharmaceutical industries can do when they're given a little bit of leeway. We've seen that with the with the whole opioid crisis. Now imagine if they were given the leeway of programming AI that's then going to diagnose, and that's scary. Yeah, and you know what the simple truth is? We don't know all the sources and what this AI, whether it's OpenAI, ChatGPT, like we don't know what its sources have been feeding it. You know what I mean? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, do you think that it would ever be programmed to do that? Because I agree 1,000%. I think that's America, if not the world. I can't speak for outside of America, but that is by far our biggest healthcare problem, is that we don't try to solve the problem. We don't try to even get to the problem. We just treat the symptoms. And then what we try to do is just mask the problem by treating those symptoms. But that's where the programming of it is, because everybody likes to think too, like, robots would, the kind of Terminator theory is robots would eventually get rid of people because that would be the logical thing to do. And AI robots, whatever you want to call it, won't make decisions based on emotion. Everything will be kind of black and white, logical based decisions. It's just very strange to me that it's so in our face over the last 3 months. Like, just anytime something gains steam like that and big companies follow suit, it's just, and to me, I think a big part of it is pushing the I'm sorry, I forget the name of the act, but you guys know what I'm talking about, the web whatever protection, TikTok, that shit, to push that through. But you know what, guys? It is 11 o'clock. I've been doing this thing since 5 a.m. We'll be back tomorrow morning to do it all over again. Lots of earnings. I am going to have the stream up by 5 a.m. if any of you guys are interested, because we got heavy earnings coming out all morning. So feel free to join us first thing tomorrow. Appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Always a pleasure. The Bachelor, great conversation. Appreciate you being here. And yeah, hopefully everybody has a great rest of your night. And Enzo said goodnight. He was he had to go put his son to bed and stuff. So he didn't mean to run out of here, but he did message me to tell you guys he said goodnight and all that good stuff. So y'all have a great evening. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the morning.